Building a championship mindset and a winning mindset without any scholarship. Well, Jeff Hall says he can. He was the mastermind behind Hawaii's beach volleyball team, huge success. Now, he's a newly appointed CSUN coach, and he will talk about the blue collar hard work ethic that he's trying to instill into the team, about the underdog mentality, about how hard work and fun can go hand in hand while trying to achieve your academic and life goals. If you're feeling overlooked, this one's the right one for you. Let's go.
Okay.
Hi, Jeff. That's
Hi.
good. That took us quite some time. Wait, so what is about helping the animals?
Oh, so my daughters used to come to every practice. My youngest one, she was like 6 years old, went on my computer in my office while I was in practice and changed my settings to be help the animals. And I don't know how to change it. And it's been that way for almost 10 years. So now it's a cute reminder of my young daughter that she went on my
Yes,
computer in my office and
that's
changed
so
it. So
sweet.
yeah, that it doesn't have my name. I'm just help the animals. She's a big animal advocate, has been a vegetarian since she was 12 years old, which
I
is pretty
see.
amazing. She's
That's
18
pretty
now.
amazing.
So
Wow. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time. I will start definitely on the left side. What's going on through your head after being in Hawaii, building a strong program, and coming to CSUN? Let's
yeah, I
go.
mean, good question. It's a total change that I could not have predicted 6 months ago, to be
Mhm.
honest. I was happily living in Hawaii, retired from coaching, working as a state employee in Hawaii. The short of the story is my daughter came to play for CSUN last year. So she
Mhm.
came to play for the former coach, Ari Hawaiian, who
Right.
played for me at UH.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so Ari played for me, was the all-time winningest player at her
Mhm.
size when she left. And I noticed it so well, I hired her as an assistant immediately after she graduated.
Mhm.
He left and went to Cal Poly, then took over Northridge. But anyway, so my daughter's known her whole life. She's been in every practice, like has known her since she was 8. So it came down to my daughter was, yeah, she's okay. And
Mhm.
she decided she wanted to play college volleyball, and Hawaii was an option possibly. And and all of a sudden Ari started showing interest at Northridge. So we
Mhm.
went down the road. I couldn't have sent my child to any better of a coach. Ari was an amazing human, loved her as a coach, as a player. Like, just, I was so happy to send her here. And then they did so good last year that she got another opportunity to go to UC Davis. So initially, we had a meeting with her and we wanted to go to
Mhm.
UC Davis, but we can't afford it. As an out of state tuition from
Right.
Hawaii, it's
Mhm.
almost $85,000 a year. So we
Wow.
said we said within 30 seconds, sorry, Ari, we're not coming to Davis.
Mhm.
So basically, there's an opportunity now. There's a vacancy here. I start thinking about it. I'm like, I look up some things. There's tuition remission or tuition waiver for employees. I'm like, wow,
Mhm.
I can actually save money. So I started thinking about it, and I had to ask my daughter for her blessing. She's never allowed me to coach her. All growing up, high school, middle school, club, I didn't coach her at all.
Mhm.
A couple parent moments, but she made it very clear. So I was a dad. So I had to ask her because I figured she'd say no, but she was all excited about it and wanted me to do it. So jump ahead 6 months later, I applied for the job,
Mhm.
got hired. I was very happy and then made the move, which is crazy. I still have a girlfriend and a daughter in Hawaii. So I'm kind of back and forth. But again, I'm
Uh-huh.
here at CSUN. It's a whole new opportunity for me. It's completely different than Hawaii. It's kind of the spectrums. I had at Hawaii a fully funded program, complete
Right.
scholarships, lots of support, pretty good economic,
Mhm.
package. At CSUN, I have none of that. We have
Right.
no scholarships here, not one. Every kid here is paying
Mhm.
for their school or on some academic aid. I have no assistant coaches currently with no money for that. So
Wow.
if I want to have them, they're either volunteer or I have to fundraise for that. And
Mhm.
I have a budget that is pretty ridiculous. We don't stay in any hotels. We don't do any overnights. We can't afford it. So we drive home every night. And it's a budgetary issue at this university. It's a state school,
Mhm.
and this is how they've funded it and has had relative success. So again, here I am. It's totally different. I thought I would be extremely frustrated by
Mhm.
where they were at, what kind of support they have, but it's turned out to be a great surprise for me. The administration is completely supportive. They're accessible. They really believe in inclusion for all these students here and the student
Mhm.
athletes. They want them to work together and have experiences together. So the mission of the department, I love. It's really amazing here. I feel supported. I love all the other coaches around. I think what it is everybody here is on a unique track. I mean, Northridge in itself, athletically, I don't know everybody's program, but I think there's creative ways to fund, creative ways for
Right.
NL and scholarships. So, the men's program's been around for 50 years and they're not fully funded here, and they have to compete in the MPSF with all the monsters. So it's a unique challenge. We're all in here at Northridge, and pleasantly I've been surprised and really enjoying the moment.
That
So
sounds like a beginning of a new blockbuster movie. You know, accomplished coach, build an excellent program in Hawaii, fully funded, and now he took this job where nobody really wanted, or
Yep.
you name it. And so what are you bringing? Okay, so first thing, what's
Yep.
the culture? What's the culture? What's help the animals? This
Yep.
is what's Jeffrey's Hall's culture? What out of that were you able to merge into Hawaii, and what came out of that? And what are you bringing and hoping to create at CSUN?
Yeah. Well, luckily 25 years of college coaching has helped give me all kinds of answers, and solutions. And I've been around enough that things aren't going to deter me. I'm just going to find a solution. So that's been a real helpful thing, being experienced in this field. Now, the culture I'm trying to instill here is the same I had in Hawaii in one respect. I want us to be a blue collar team. I want us to be a team that is about hard work, period. End of story. I tell people, everybody I recruit, I believe in the law of harvest, which is an old farming term. As hard as you work to get your crops done is how much you get. So I tell our athletes, as much as you put into this program is what you're going to get out of it. So that's kind of a baseline for letting them know it's about hard work. We're not giving you guys anything. I don't have a magic wand to make you a great player. It's about hard work and every day committing to that. So it's kind of easy for me to sell that here because we are kind of the underdog. Everybody here was maybe overlooked a little bit in the recruiting process. Kids are here and paying for themselves, so they really want to play. It's not that they're being paid for. So I think it's easier to sell here. And so basically from the very beginning, and again, my culture is developing here. I've only been here for 2.5 months.
Right.
So I wouldn't say I have that all figured out, but I start with the hard work, blue collar mentality, underdog role completely, and trying to sell them on that. Like, I got to be careful how I word it, but basically I want to tell them, we have no scholarships. We have nothing. We are always going to be the underdog. So let's attack our opponent with that kind of mindset. And it's so much more freeing to play from that standpoint than if you're the person that's supposed to win. There's more pressure. So I'm trying to help them understand you can have very little pressure if you buy into that philosophy. So, it's a daily occurrence. You have to constantly remind student athletes these things and find creative ways to continue to teach that message. You got to say the same thing 20 different times for it to settle in, for these student athletes. That's one of the main pillars, is just hard work. We're going to work. We're going to work our opponents. We're going to outwork in practice. Today I just had an email with the strength coach who normally would lift twice a week during season. I told him, no, we should lift 3 days a week during season so we can win the weight room. So again, it's just finding those kind of things where it's just our whole mindset and identity is about working harder than our opponents, and that includes summer breaks. That includes, winter breaks. That includes what are you doing to help yourself get better, and trying to instill that in them, because not every kid has that. And I will say at Hawaii, I had to kick people out of the gym or out of the sandbox because they were doing too much. They were spending time before practice, time after practice. I want to move that way here at Northridge, but that is also going too far that way where your body can't take all that kind of beating from you constantly getting extra work. So there's a fine line of extra work, but not too much extra work. But again, it's all about hard work and no excuses. We don't make any excuses. We own our errors and we move on.
That's pretty straightforward. Now, players come with from different backgrounds and with different expectations and hopes. How to say that? what are your non-negotiables? What, when that player is on your team, you are, hey, we're running by this. And then how do you incorporate that into teamwork, building a team? Because, some new girls come, some girls leave. And when you were there for 5 years in Hawaii, meaning, I think it was 5 years, right? You were taking 6? I mean,
6 years, 6
yeah,
seasons, and
6
11
years.
years total at the university.
Yeah. So girls are observing your culture, what you're building, and news are coming, and it kind of stays the same. But now you're coming in new. What are your non-negotiables for these girls that don't know you and are working with you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I believe in my eyeball. I've been doing this long enough. I've been in enough gyms and enough beach courts to watch players and read body language for a living, is what I tell people. I'm very good at watching your reaction and how you are. So my non-negotiables are, if you're not a good partner and you're kind of an attitude problem, you are off my list pretty quickly. Even if you're highly talented, I've been doing this long enough that I just want kids that do it the right way. I have to be with these kids 4 or 5 years. So I'm looking for kids with good body language, even if they have to fake it. I think that's part of it. Fake it till you make it is what you tell them. And it's something they have to work at. It doesn't come naturally. So I understand if people struggle with that, we need to work through it, but that's a pretty important one. Just your body language. How are you reacting to plays? Are you flushing and moving on to the next play? Are you a good teammate? Are you turning towards your teammate or turning away from your teammate? The one that really drives me crazy is the kid who just will not try to connect with their partner.
Right.
You're out there and they're struggling and they just refuse to try to work together. And that's a pretty big deal breaker for me. And I will tell you, because it's so intimate in the beach world, if I see a kid and their parent interaction and I don't think it's very good, that person probably is going to be moved down the list or off the list. All those things matter. When you're going to spend 4 or 5 years with these kids in your program and try to help them, it's really important that you try to identify these kids that have these types of issues or eliminate them from your lists, or at least help educate them or communicate with them that that's what you're seeing. I'm not opposed to telling a recruit that's what I've seen. Like, for me, the recruiting process is about straightforward honesty. No bullshit, no wishy-washy, no like holding people on. Like, it's yes or no, it's this or that. Black or white, these families and these kids deserve to hear the truth. Sadly, a lot of colleagues maybe don't do that, is my opinion. I think, sometimes they're real secretive or they're real, I don't know, it's not clear for the kids. And for me, that's just a bummer. That's not the way to go. So anyway, the attitude, the energy, that's a pillar. I have to see it the right way, and then, what you do is, as a coach, you talk to the people that are coaching those kids. I've been doing this long enough that I believe in all my colleagues, and you ask them, how's this kid react? How does this kid deal with this? And if you don't do that, I think you're not doing your job. I think you need to make sure you vet properly. And again, it's a pretty small network in beach volleyball. You kind of know everybody. So you really can find a way to have a conversation just to get more information about these kids. It's really important to know. And these coaches that are coaching them are going to be honest. Yeah, she's kind of this or that, or, hey, this kid's great. You have to trust and believe in those people that that are around you. And so I always will ask questions of coaches that are coaching them or the directors to get clarity on what this person is like, because it's coming to my culture. I don't want to have to like reinvent the wheel for that person.
Right.
Is kind of the idea.
That's straightforward. And I think, first of all, thank you for that, because doing that, you're setting a standard and you're showing an example that when kids deal with you or their parents or their coaches, suddenly they know that, there is someone in this world, and there can be an approach that comes straight, full on, raw. Hey, this is how it is. I'm not going to blow up smoke up your backside. This is what's going to happen, and what you need to do, whatever. But I'm going to put a pin here, because later on I want to ask about those, how you see it, how you perceive it, kids on the list, kids off the list, how they get down, all those things. But one more thing about your first season here. So again, back to Hawaii, how did you define success before a season? How did you define success for yourself, maybe for the team? And then how did you evaluate during the season and after the season for your last season, let's say? And how are you doing it for this first season here at CSUN?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they're both so different. At Hawaii, my evaluation was how far did we go in the tournament? I mean, it was basically win it all or nothing was our goal every year. I had the people for it. I had the support. We got close a couple of times and we were still the underdogs. We don't have all the blue bloods and we certainly didn't get the top recruits. I think we did pretty good, but understand that Hawaii was a different place. I had to still work hard. So we measured by our wins and losses, kind of how we did in the season, national ranking. So it's kind of all measurable, but it's not very holistic. It's completely, that puts it in the category of performance business, not about the process, not about all the things that I want to teach. But when you're at that level in those probably like 6 or 7 institutions that have a chance to win it all, that's what you're measuring for. You're just trying to win the championship, and so you're always squeezing recruiting. That's the major part at that elite level, is recruiting the right kids and the better kids, or the kids that you see as higher potential, higher ceilings. And we'll talk about that, I know, later on, but generally that was how I was measuring success in Hawaii. And there was some holistic things that I cared about, and graduating 100% of my kids every year. That was a major important piece for me. It's why every kid is coming to college. And I don't just say that like every coach, like I live it. Even my daughter gets grilled on her grades when she's slipping. Like, it's really important to me. And I think because I'm older and I've been doing this for so long, that has become more important than the wins and losses. Now, shifting to Northridge, again, we're just developing all this culture, and I can't measure myself by wins and losses, or I'm going to drive myself crazy here. I have some performance goals set, but they're real loose. And to be honest, it's a whole different experience here for me. I love this team and what I'm doing in a different realm. It's a different mindset for me. What I'm more concerned about is them having the best experience of their life, being the best version of themselves every day. And we are all about doing anything we can that's not volleyball at this program. At Hawaii, I did a few outreach things, but it was about volleyball. This is more like we're going to go to the hospital and read to sick children. We're going to do outreach stuff. We're going to have more of an experience at Northridge than I would have at Hawaii, as far as like outside of volleyball. And that's important to me. And I think these kids, from what I've seen, have really bought into it. They want to do these outreach things. They want to do other things with students on campus. They want to invite professors to games. It's a different mindset here, where winning is obviously what we're trying to do, but it's not the ultimate goal. It's just about what kind of experience I can create or help foster for these student athletes for their 4 or 5 years at Northridge. And I'm 100% vested. My daughter's in this program. Like, you're not going to get a more motivated coach, because obviously I want to do this for my daughter, but I now know all of her teammates and love them and want to help them. So it's really a family environment, because we are family. And it's just a different animal, and I'm loving it. To be honest, it's a whole different type of coaching. Like, I've always coached at elite levels where you're just grinding to try to win a championship. That's all. This is not the goal here. And I don't want to publish like that's not what we're trying to do, but I know I'm not going to win a national championship at CSUN. With no scholarships, it's never going to happen. So can I move the needle with the program? Can I try to help the administration grow, get staff in place, get scholarships in place? That's ultimately my goal, which we can talk about down the road. But that's part of my responsibility, to come to this program and leave it better than I found it. Kind of how I operate in life. It's one of those old parent adage, hey, leave it better than you found it, or you go camping, leave the campsite better than when you left. I mean, that's so ingrained in me that I teach that way, or I coach that way. So I want to leave this place better than when we found it.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for that. Now, let's ask that question right away. So when I had a conversation with Todd Rogers, he told me, the whole story, how he started 10 years back, and they had players from indoor, which was possible. Now, first question here, you guys, do you have some double players for indoors and beach, or not really with the roster?
This year, no. This year, there was 2 kids that were going to, and through the transition of me, they decided to focus on indoor. So currently we do not have any. However, I've had 2 meetings with 2 indoor players here that have interest. So I have to entertain the idea as long as it works out with the other coaches, so that they're, so we're above board. And they have to be better than what I have. I'm not taking a kid from the indoor. And what we're seeing is it usually takes a couple of years for these indoor kids to get to the beach level, to be able to compete in even my program here. Like, it's incredibly challenging. Everybody I brought over from indoor in Hawaii, I was able to coach both of them, so it helped. But when I wasn't coaching the indoor team and I had to go find other indoor players and find a grad student, it's hard. A lot of those grad students didn't play. They came and they never made it. And obviously at Hawaii, it was a pretty good team. So to make the lineup, you really had to be special.
Right.
For here, it probably can move the needle a little bit if I get some indoor players, or foreign players. I'm constantly emailing every day, every single email that comes to me, I will reply, which is it's hard, but I've been doing this long enough that that's what I deserve, or that what the kids deserve. And to be honest, I went through it as a parent. My daughter wrote letters. My other daughter wrote letters, no response. And I think that's irresponsible. I think some of my colleagues, if you're not a blue chip perfect athlete, they don't even reply. And for me, even a thank you but no thank you, 1 minute, 30 seconds, you still have to do that. I believe as a coach, there were days when I was doing no emails, like sending no thank you a lot, and it's a waste of time in a sense, but I think it helps those people reach a decision and then go look at another institution.
So. That is important, that somebody actually cares about the human side of you. So what is your plan? I know it's like, this is you keep it inside yourself and see what is possible with funding and everything. But what if you can paint a perfect picture? How would your tenure at CSUN look like?
Well, let's just kind of start from the end of my tenure, whether it's 3 years or 10 years or 15 years. I don't have a time frame, but when I leave, I feel it's really important to do a couple things. One, get money or raise money enough that we can have a salary for an assistant coach. It's absolutely almost malpractice nowadays to have one coach and 6 teams playing at one time, and we're allowed to coach and instruct now. So it's even more important to have a coach. So getting that kind of earmarked, and that's been a no for 20 or whatever they've been, 12, 13, 15 years here. It's been a no. So it's going to be hard. I also want to increase the budget so that we can travel, so we can actually stay overnight, so we can actually have some of those amazing moments. Because one thing I used to love about Hawaii is every trip is a road trip. We got to get on a plane, get vans, get hotels. And those are the best memories for those student athletes, is those road trips. So that's really important to me, to try to move that needle and to move the needle with winning. Now, Ari set a really high bar last year. We lost a lot of players through this transition, and we're trying to rebuild. So it's going to be a challenge to match those wins.
Hey there. Are you really serious about your D1 dreams? Playing beach volleyball in college? And does this whole recruiting process feels like a black box to you, where you don't really know what to do and what the coaches are looking for? Well, you're not the only one, but I may have a solution for you. But before we'll get to that, let me ask you, are you really serious about your dreams? Because if yes, then you need to step up and take ownership of your actions. And the best way to do it is get out and start researching information. Now, there's not much information about this whole process and what coaches are looking for, is there? Well, so for this exact reason, I created this library of conversations with D1 beach coaches, so you can learn and understand what are their green flags, what are their red flags, what are they looking for, who they really want on the team, who they really don't want on the team. And all this information will help you triangulate yourself and navigate this process with much more confidence and with success at the end. You can find me on YouTube or become a part of my community directly. You get way more information as a part of the community, but YouTube will do fine. So what you waiting for? Get in, I'll see you on the inside, and let's navigate the process with confidence. And if you need more help, just contact me and I'll help you figure out how to make your dreams come true. All right? So let's go.
But I want this program to be a 21 or 20 win minimum every season. If we can get us to that point, we're in the mix in all the Big West championships. Our small goal performance is to beat a Long Beach, beat a Hawaii, beat a Cal Poly in the Big West tournament. It's never happened.
Mhm.
So of course we're going to keep shooting for that. And the more chances we get, the better chance we have to succeed. So, again, it's kind of what we're trying to do here. And if I can improve the program in every way, I will. And I don't know what I don't know yet. I don't know what I need to fight for. I did tell them through the hiring process, I am aware of the salary. I'm aware of the budget. I'm aware of no scholarships. And I'm not going to come in my first year and just kick doors down and say, hey, we can't do this without this and that.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to find solutions this first year with what we have, and then evaluate. And then, the beautiful thing about my administrator, my direct report, was a former student athlete in the NCAA. So it's one of the rare administrators that has been a player and a coach.
Wow.
And no offense to the administrators that have been in my
Mhm.
past, but most of them have no experience playing or coaching.
Mhm.
So there's a disconnect there. And my boss here is amazing and only cares about these student athletes. So if I word things carefully and talk about the student athlete experience, I probably can get some more approvals. And again,
Mhm.
I just want to move the needle in everything. This is a kind of a gold mine here, where we're a Cal State school, a big university in Southern California. It's pretty warm here compared to other places.
Yeah.
We have a facility, like there's a lot of things working in our favor. So it's trying to move the needle and get kind of equitable with the rest of the field. And I know I'm never going to get to, the full scholarships and, 2 or 3 staff members, but if I can move the needle a little bit, that's kind of what I'm trying to do here.
What again, I see a movie. I see a movie running right in front of my eyes. Northridge is lucky to have you. Like Napoleon, not comparing the size, of course, but wherever he came, he just changed the functioning of the state, functioning of the infrastructure immediately wherever he went. And it feels like that. So this is going to be really interesting. And so tell me, when you will be recruiting next year, what will be your offers to the girls? Now, we don't have scholarships. What is it? Hey, come here. You will see magic happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's a challenge to not have any aid, because I could be recruiting a kid for 2 years and Long Beach State comes in at the 11th hour and offers them a book scholarship. 9 times out of 10, that kid's going to go where the money is. It's an economic decision for every family. Unfortunately, what happens is they get like a $500 scholarship, which is nothing.
Yeah.
And they went to that school and it may not be the better fit for them, but that's what we're going to have to deal with here. So for me, I'm going to sell me, and that's hard to do. I'm not a guy that's going to get on my soapbox and say I'm good, but I've been doing this longer than almost any coach in this field, and collegiate coaching probably longer than anybody in the field, so I just have a lot of experience. I believe in what I'm teaching. I believe in what I'm coaching in my practice environment, what I'm asking of those athletes. So I'm going to sell that, and then I'm going to sell the university. This is not UCLA and USC. I get it, but that's pretty common here at Northridge in the LA area. We just kind of take it, and I will sell the school. It's a good academic school. It's not a Stanford, but I tell people you can get the same education at Stanford and at a community college. It's about what you put into it and what you get out of your education. Now, certainly the brilliant professors are at Stanford compared to junior college, but my point being, it's where you go and what you put into it. Same philosophy as volleyball, law of the harvest. So again, the message is pretty consistent. And again, if we get some of the things to move, we could go way past people pretty quickly. If I could get limited scholarships, I could actually recruit kids and lock them down. It's a big game changer, However, I will say it's kind of a luxury that I'm not in the rat race. I'm not looking at the top 20 kids and just, fighting for it. I'm in a different realm. I'm waiting for the leftovers. I'm waiting for kids that got passed over, kids that are late to the game. I mean, the beauty of me is I have enough resources. I probably don't ever have to go to the beach. I can get all of recruiting done by my contacts. All the junior college coaches I know completely. I coach junior colleges. I played junior college. Boom, there's a resource. I know all these other people, these other coaches. The transfer kids will come my way because they know who I am. These coaches, I have friends, colleagues that would send them to me before they'd send them somewhere else. So hopefully those things work in my favor. And for me, like I just got an email from, guys from Santa Cruz that I played with and against 25, 30 years ago. And they're like, here's a 2016 kid that's 6 foot tall and nobody wants her right now because she's late to the game. And I'm like, I'm all in. Because one thing you always are looking for is just blockers. We need physical presence at the net. And for me to even have an opportunity for a 6-footer this late in the game and no scholarships, it's exciting for me. Like, hey, here's an opportunity. And this kid I have a call with her at 3:00, and I think she'll be pretty excited for what I have to say. And I'm going to give her love. I'm going to show her love and show her that I want her to be here. Again, I don't want to mess around with people's time. I'm just a straight shooter. It's just easier to deal that way. And if I'm straight, I don't forget anything. Like if I lead people on and it's like this vague, like 12 emails back and forth and there's no direction, I forget about that person. So for me, it's simplify things to be better at them, and again, it's a pretty unique place here. And again, I'm going to keep trying. And again, like I said, if we can get a little bit of things to change, we're going to go past a lot of people that we're traditionally losing to or competing with equally, like the Bakersfields or the Davis or, the kind of those like institutions where we can be more like a Long Beach State, or Hawaii or Cal Poly is kind of what we're trying to do here. And again, we can do it. This league is the best league in volleyball, the Big West, men's, women's, and beach. Like it's a great league. We'll sell that. And then there's some things here at this institution that my peer institutions didn't have. I have a full-time nutritionist here. Didn't have one of those in Hawaii. Didn't have one of those at UC San Diego. Didn't have one of those in Pacific where I coach. Like they find it important. Now, the big Power Fours have these cafeterias, they go to, but we don't have that. But we created a position for kids to go build nutrition plans, get supplements, talk to them about eating disorders, things like that. It's an amazing small school kind of budget for that. But those are the things that I'm selling here. To have that, and Long Beach doesn't have that, or I think those are important to point out. However, I'm not a negative sell person, so I'm not going to throw all these other programs under the bus. I would rather compliment them and those coaches and be honest. I'm not a person who's going to throw people under the bus. Negative recruiting has never worked in my mind, and I won't start. So.
Fair enough. I think that's another part of that speaks volume of your personality and character. That's making the world a little better place. So you talked about it. We were hitting it from multiple angles. Tell me about your recruiting. Tell me, described with as much detail as possible the way of your straight shooting. Tell me, you see a girl, how early you start, and I know this is gonna, you're gonna probably talk about the past, and we're gonna be in a different group of athletes you're gonna be picking from right now. But tell me, how do you envision that, or what do you do? She's 13, she's 12, she's 14, I don't care. You mentioned transfer portals, JUCOs, maybe, I don't know, are there other ways, NAIA or D2s? Tell me the whole story.
Yeah, I mean, the recruiting it's an everyday thing as a college coach. You have to do something in recruiting every day. Now, that could be return emails today, that could be making phone calls, that could be watch more video. Do your homework is my first bit of advice. Do some work so you know what you're talking about. I trust my eye, so I can watch film on a kid probably within 2 minutes and know what their skill set's like. Now, it's not going to tell you the whole story. Obviously, that's edited, but I can tell by your movement pretty quickly if you're going to be somebody that could help me or not. Now, yes, different standards here and at Hawaii. I'm not going to talk to any or even attempt to look at 12, 13, 14-year-olds while I'm here. It's just too early. I want them to be kids, enjoy life, play several sports, do not specialize, go do something totally different, be a well-balanced human. So I will hold off from those people. And because we don't have aid, I don't have to chase those top players and be on that at, September 1st or July 1st or whatever those deadlines are. I don't have to be on the phone call that day. So I won't. I'm going to wait. I'm going to find other ways to recruit, maybe try to make it more personable, whatever that may be, and be more direct. I could tell a kid I want him on my program within 2 emails, probably, to be honest. And I'll operate that way. And if it's too fast for a kid, I'll tell him, no problem. We can slow down. Like, I'm not giving you a deadline. I don't do deadlines either. I think that just puts too much pressure on the families. And it's just what I want to do for these kids is make this process of recruiting something enjoyable, because it is a big stressful moment. It's the most important decision of their lives at that moment. And the parents are heavily involved, and it's a highly stressful, unhealthy situation most of the time. I like to break that down, and I want to just, simplify things and have real conversations with families, and have tears and not be scared of that kind of stuff. So again, I'm going to evolve my culture or my recruiting here. I don't know what it is. I don't know where my mark is. The first week I was here, I was calling a third sister. I coached both the sisters at Hawai'i. They're actually Hawaiian family that was born in Hawaii, but grew up in San Diego, where I also used to live. So I've known this family. I recruited both sisters. They played at UH, both played for me. And then this kid was told no by UH. She's just a little undersized. That new staff doesn't want her. It's fine. So I was on the phone immediately saying, hey, here's a great story. I got both your kids. Maybe I could coach the third child. It's at a different school, but it's still a great opportunity. The next week she was coming up on campus and wanted to see. This was not even on her radar. So it's things like that. It's people I know. I'm going to go call a family I know that has another kid, because I'm a sucker for the legacies of families playing in the same program. I think that's an amazing thing, and I always want to do that. So I still have a few of those in the hopper, and then I'm just going to go talk to my colleagues, to be honest. It's going to be a lot of go to that club coach, tell me the kids that are available, and give me a list, and then I'll evaluate personally, watch them play, because the best way to evaluate somebody is to watch them play, not the video, not some other form. Basically, you watch somebody live, you're going to get a real good idea what that person can and cannot do. So that's a really important piece. Now, so for me, I'm not going to send out the mailings like we used to do, where I would mail, all those questionnaires and all those things to people and fill up people's mailboxes. We're not going to do that here. It's all going to be electronic. It's all going to be word of mouth and people that I hear through the grapevine, or somebody that sends me an email. I'm going to follow up on it, and I'm going to see if you're in my range. Trying to increase my standard every year of what I would accept for kids coming in. I got to raise the bar here, and you do that by recruiting. You do that by getting more talent. I'm a great coach when I have a lot of great talent. I'm not such a good coach when I don't have such good talent. And that's, I've said it for years. You win and lose by recruiting. You can teach, you can train, you can have all kinds of wonderful things in your program, but if you're not recruiting, you're not winning. And so I just have to find our way to recruit here. And I don't have it all figured out yet, but I'm okay with that. Like, I love that this is a new experience for me. I'm going to have to challenge myself. I'm going to have to evolve. I'm going to have to work on maybe new techniques of recruiting. And it's exactly what I ask players to do. Be in a growth mindset always. So if I'm asking them to do that, it's important for the coach to step into that as well. So I'm going to have to do things that I haven't done before and be uncomfortable. And that's okay, because that's part of growth. And that's what this whole experience is all about. I'm all over the board here, sorry. But, for me, the recruiting, it's going to start probably 16, 17, earmarking and kind of identifying the people I like, and identifying kids that are probably West Coast kids, so that school's cheaper, kind of get a list of more kids that are maybe just easier to go to Northridge. If I'm going to recruit kids from Florida, they're all going to pay out-of-state tuition. It's going to be a big uphill battle. So just knowing where I can pick and choose my battles. And then it's about just corresponding, being honest, being available, and not leaving kids out there to dry. Like, right. I just hate that. And I don't want my colleagues to hear this, but I think a lot of them are not as good as they could be. And these are human beings, and these are people that matter and have families and have brothers and sisters. And so for me, I'm always going to take the human approach. It's kind of how I've operated always. And it's just, I'm in a position in my life where I can do that. I can help kids more than win volleyball games. And I love that. Like, I look forward to a Monday, Tuesday meeting with my kid that had a bad weekend, and I've got to teach him about life. Like, I'm so stoked to have that opportunity. I wish more of my colleagues had that, but because we're in this profession of grinding, it's not always like that. And now there's a lot of great coaches that do a lot of great things for kids and really care, but we all need to do a better job. And what we need to do is serve these kids. That's our jobs, period. And anything else is just noise to me. So that's kind of where my recruiting philosophy in a holistic nutshell. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs and how I'm going to do it. I don't know how often I'm going to call people. I don't know how often I'm going to go watch live. It's about availability and time, because I will have a balance as a coach. I believe that's important, to shut it down and have some sort of life outside. So
Mhm.
I've gotta pull the reins in on myself because I'm here in Southern California. I can go watch a lot. I could recruit a ton. Is it worth my time? And that's what I'm going to learn. I don't know. I haven't been to one tournament yet since I got the
Mhm.
job. So I missed the main summer, the bulk of
Mhm.
when you go kind of
Right.
recruit, but I have to take advantage of my location that most of
Mhm.
the great tournaments are here in my backyard, 30 minutes away. So I will probably end up in the long run spending more time watching them live than I did in
Mhm.
Hawaii, just
Yeah.
because I was limited by travel. We'd come in the summer and that was about it.
Mhm.
So I have an opportunity to recruit all year round here
Mhm.
when there's tournaments. And I'm not even opposed to like recruiting a kid that's playing club beach volleyball. Or, I remember men's volleyball. This is what we did.
Mhm.
There was a guy that went to Long Beach State that went to Humboldt the first year. And then he went back to Long Beach State and was a 4-time All-American and went and played with the national team. Like,
Mhm.
really, there's players out there like that still that I'm hoping to stumble across those. I'm talking to a kid that's playing at San Diego State for the club team. She's
Mhm.
from Canada and she moved
Oh.
down there to play beach volleyball for the
Mhm.
club. And, I can offer her a little more than her club.
Mhm.
So this is potentially an opportunity. And that just came across my lap from an email. So again, like I would have never heard or found that kid, but it opened my eyes or mind to the
Mhm.
colleges are having club tournaments. I could go to
Yeah.
that tournament, watch the championship, and try to cherry pick the best two kids. Like,
Mhm.
I doubt there'll be anybody there. My colleagues won't go to that. I'll go to the junior college championships for sure because there's
Uh-huh.
kids there. Something I did in Hawaii, I was the first to go to Canada to recruit, to go up there. And, I was not well liked when I first showed up because they knew I was from America, but I had done that with indoor. So it was pretty normal to me. And then I said to
Okay.
everybody, you guys don't even have beach volleyball in Canada. So I'm giving these kids opportunities. But then there were coaches that would go up there every other year after that. So I have to try to find those streams, find those unique opportunities
Mhm.
and maximize them. And again, just my experience that I've done this. I was at a junior college coaching for 5 years as an assistant coach.
Mhm.
I was at UC San Diego coaching men and women, no scholarships there either at the time, playing
Mhm.
against UCLA, USC. Like, to be honest, I've done this before. If you've been a junior college coach and driven vans all over the state of California and no
Yeah.
budgets and like,
Mhm.
this is kind of the same deal. We get a little
Mhm.
more here, but so it's it's pretty normalized to me. And again, I have to find those avenues that are
Mhm.
creative. And I don't know all my path yet. I don't have all the answers. I don't
Mhm.
have my pillars or my philosophies all set. It's very fluid, but it's all going to be based in just doing the right thing, you know. At the end of the day, I just ask myself what's the right thing to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
That sounds that sounds I mean, I see you're having so much fun with this unbound approach, right?
Yep.
Yep.
It's truly amazing. Like, I love this team. It's crazy. Like, it's just
That is
amazing.
cool.
And
That is
I'm
cool.
giving these kids everything I got every day. And I had a meeting with a kid today. She's like, I've gotten so much better in like 4 weeks. I'm like, well, that's what I like to hear. I mean, that's important, that you can see that you're getting better, because they have all the tools themselves.
Mhm.
Again, we don't have the magic wand as coaches. Like, we can create good environments, we give feedback, but every kid has the tools to coach themselves. And that's how beach volleyball's been, so you don't always need these coaches to give you all the answers.
Yeah, that's true. Also think that, every coach says these beautiful sentences, and by beautiful, I mean leading them, teaching them, and helping them figure out things. But it also depends a lot on what kind of environment you create.
Mhm.
And that's the magic wand, I think, by my opinion, is that you create an environment where they can hear you and they can try and they can let themselves fail and become better. So
Yeah,
I think that's the
you just couple points, like huge points. One, you have to create an environment where it's okay to fail.
Mhm.
Like, you have to do that. If you're not creating an environment in your practice gym where these kids can fail, they're not trying to change
Mhm.
and they're going to be stuck in kind of their baseline. So my whole philosophy is you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We've all heard that a million times, but that's
Mhm.
something that's real. And every day I'm telling those kids, try something different, do something different, be uncomfortable, feel what that's like. I absolutely believe in that 100%. And I tell them it's okay to fail, even though I might point out something negative, what happened, but it's what you need to do. So I've said that message in 4 weeks, probably 100 times. I mean, it's every day. We're failing today. It's okay. Like, say it loud, I mean, whatever it is, you have to make sure that they're cool with that, or they're not going to. They're going to just stay safe because they want to compete and win. And you have to tell them eventually you're going to win more because you're going to get better, and you have to let go of some things, and that's hard. No, these are athletes. They don't like to fail, but it's pretty normal. I mean, that's why student athletes are the best people to hire after they graduate college, because they've dealt with failure every day and they get back up every time. That's a pretty powerful life lesson to carry through if you can. So again, you hit the points. Like, I'm all about the failure, the uncomfortableness in practice, creating those environments. But we're also allowed to have fun. Like, I smile more in this practice than I ever have. Like, we have some funny music on because we play 2 speakers of music while we're playing. I want that environment, and there'll be some bad language, and it's kind of a moment to laugh. Like, I think it's important for them to see me smile, because I'm pretty serious and I'm driving and I'm pushing them, but at some point it's okay to have a joke, and then they go, oh, this is fun. This is why we're doing this. And ultimately, if they lose their fun, I've really done a poor job as a coach. It needs to be fun. While we're grinding. It's not always fun when you're running and sprinting and whatever, but ultimately it's okay to have fun and do this and laugh at yourself, or have fun with it. It's a tool, actually. It's a recovery tool. It's a flushing tool. But again, as the coach, you better create that environment for these kids and help them understand that, and again, it's every day. Every day there's some mention, there's some kind of storyline, something I say. I mean, I'm not as articulate as a Todd. He's really well spoken. There's some great coaches. I'm not an orator. I don't really say everything perfectly, but usually my point is what comes across.
That's interesting, because I was not looking at that. I'm just captivated by your energy, and I think that's what the athletes see and feel and are attracted by. And that's your selling point. That's, you said you don't say it yourself, but you just do that. Like, you're coming with this big personality, bigger than life. It's like, this is what we're going to do. We're underdogs in every possible, item that you can think of on the list. And so this is what we're going to embrace. Were you like this always, or this fatherhood changed you in this?
Well, fatherhood for sure. Fatherhood absolutely changes everyone. But I'd say that I was raised this way. I'm a Midwestern kid that cares about people. So there's always been that. But no, when I was younger, it was just like, when you're coaching like 16-year-old guys, you're just swearing at them and fucking throwing balls at them and telling them to fucking win. Like, it has evolved for me a lot in my profession, where I'm about this environment, because I didn't know. I was still learning how to coach, how to be part of be a good assistant for many, many years. So for me, it's, I got here through the process. I'd say I've been like this for a while, since I had my children, and I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. So it's been a fairly good amount of time. And again, the older I get, the more I care about the human side of things. That's just a natural evolution. I think as we get older, we care about humans. We care about our legacy. We care about the people we've come in contact with. So that's where this all comes from, and I'm fired up that you're actually doing this. I think it's wonderful, because there's not enough information for kids. It's the most stressful time ever, and everybody's freaking out. And it's really, I appreciate you spending all the time you're spending to help these kids just get information. And it's hard to pin down coaches to get them to a certain time to do these Zooms, but it's all information that is powerful for these student athletes. So I want to thank you, and I thank the people that do the showcases, that do more of this, the recruiting, coordinators and the recruiting people. But, ultimately what I'm trying to do now is include the coaches in the correspondence initially, so that they are aware when I'm responding, and they're aware that, what I'm saying to these kids, so that they get a better education in this process as well. Because a lot of the club coaches, they get recruiting, but they're like, here's my 5 best. They're going to UCLA and Texas. And then I got these ones, they're going to that program. And they're fighting for their kids, which is awesome. But, we could all do a better job. And again, it's a pretty overwhelming experience. I tell kids I do it every day, so it's just whatever. But this is your one time to do this. So, let's all be sensitive to these kids. And again, it helped that I had 2 kids that wrote letters to coaches and got no response. And
Yeah.
the beach volleyball one was like, hey, and my dad is so-and-so. Like, she didn't say it a lot, but there was a few
Right.
mentions, and
Mhm.
like people were like, I mean, no reply. Like, it was, I wanted to be very angry at some of my colleagues. But again, Ari wrote her, Ari kept on communicating with her, and we ended up at the right fit. At the end of the day, I truly believe, and this will be maybe further down this interview, but kids find the right fit 99% of the time. They know where they want to go right away. When they're 12, 13, 14 years old, they know where they want to go for sure. Now, schools like mine come into the mix much later. It wasn't probably on their radar. And then they start to discover the wonderful things about this and the location and possibly me coaching here. And potentially our future success will help direct more kids here. We'll see.
Did you like this conversation? It was pretty good, wasn't it? I have more for you. I have conversations with D1 coaches, experts, and all the tools and guides and whatever you can think of to succeed on your D1 journey and fulfill your D1 dreams. So what you waiting for? Jump right in and I'll see you on the inside. And if you need more help, just contact me and I'll help you make your dreams come true. All right? Until later.